Welcome back. Now, some good news. The first pill designed to treat symptomatic COVID has been approved by the UK's medicines regulator. The tablet, are you ready for this? Molnupiravir. I did it! Molnupiravir will be given twice a day to vulnerable patients recently diagnosed with the virus. In clinical trials, the pill, which was originally developed to treat the flu, cut the risk of hospitalisation or death by nearly half. Health Secretary Sajid Javid said the treatment was a game changer. And for the most frail and immunosuppressed, see, I start my pronunciations well and it tails off. Anyway, the UK is now the first country in the world to approve an antiviral pill that can be taken at home for COVID. So what do we think to this? Is this indeed the game changer that we are being promised that it is? Samantha?
I don't think it is a game changer because there are some restrictions on who it's open to. So, of course, certainly for the immunosuppressed, it does represent a big change and a very positive change, yes? But in terms of the wider population, they have to have at least one high-risk factor which makes them a possible beneficiary of this pill. And if they don't, so if you're not over 60 or otherwise considered vulnerable...
Like obese, heart disease,
then
diabetes.
You don't qualify. And so you're really then... It's business as usual, I would say, for the majority of the population. But still, I mean, I'm not going to not celebrate an advance in, you know, medical practice and antiviral treatment. Of course, that's a positive thing, but it's not a game changer. We still need to be looking at the other things we're doing in terms of managing the current situation. So that's my view.
Your view?
I'm a bit more optimistic, actually, because the reason why it's restricted is because of price, as I understand it. Okay. So they're going to just make sure that it goes to the ones who are most vulnerable, which makes sense if it is expensive. But what one forgets in this calculation, and I really hope that they're going to do this pretty quickly, is look at the cost-benefit. Because if you limit that way, the number of people who go, or you reduce because of that, the number of people who end up going to hospital, the NHS costs get reduced very significantly, and then there are all these other ongoing costs that are there if someone takes over a bed that perhaps, you know, somebody with cancer should have been occupying, etc., plus all the concerns that you've got around you in terms of giving it to others and so on. You can be at home, you can take that medicine, so I think it's great, and I think it's the beginning. There are going to be loads more. I think that's going to make such a big difference to the way in which we view it. And we do need to think that, you know, we can get over it, not just with being vaccinated, but also that whoever gets it can actually get a pill, like with flu, and get better without putting any extra strain on NHS resources.
Jake?
Well, I think it could contribute towards being a game changer. I mean, it's an incremental benefit, and it forms another part of the pincer. If the first part is vaccines, the second part is this pill, and between the two of them, they should be able to reduce hospitalisation and death really, really significantly. And I think it's a real point of celebration that the UK approved it so quickly. I think that Boris...
Does it concern you? Do you have any concern about being the world's first country to do this? Do you think, well, does that mean it's safe or not?
No, I don't, because don't forget, this is a pill that's been deemed safe before for flu, so it's not an entirely new product. Now it's been tested for COVID and it's looking promising. But I think it's important to look at examples of countries that have done this sort of thing really well, i.e. Israel. You know, Boris and Naftali Bennett, the new Israeli Prime Minister, are quite close friends. They had a good chat at COP26, and one of the things that he wanted to learn from him was how to crush COVID without a lockdown. And one of the things that Israel did was to approve the booster shot before the FDA had given its stamp of approval.
Are they even in talks about a fourth one in Israel?
Well, they're ahead of the curve, unfortunately, in terms of COVID waves, and what's hitting them one day hits us the next. But I think that the real fear in all of this, and the kind of problem that the government is going to face, is that if this makes more headlines, and if people become aware that you've got a pill that can reduce or even cure COVID, to put it in a crude sense, people may be encouraged not to take the vaccine quite so much. And that's a real sort of PR wrangle for the government to deal with, that you want to have people taking the vaccine and taking the pill when necessary, or some of them anyway, and that's going to make a big difference and, do what we all want, which is to avoid a lockdown. But the PR could go wrong, and then it could warp the whole playing field again. Yeah,
and I think if you're, like, really clinically vulnerable or in the high-risk group, then, of course, this can only be... If you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know, you've got whatever problems that make you really in the high-risk category, then anything that you can do, that you can take, that you can have, anything is going to help you. So I guess I've got no problem with it being restricted to some extent. I do wonder, and I'll get criticised for this, but I do wonder when it says here, they're talking about people that have got one risk factor, for example, obesity. So we know that if you're obese, it puts you at a significantly higher risk of, serious consequences of COVID than if you're not obese. And I wonder how many people actually have used COVID as a wake-up call to assess their own personal health and make changes for themselves to their own personal health. Because
lose weight, you're saying?
Yeah, I am saying that, but not just lose weight, by the way, because one of the types of diabetes are around lifestyle and things like that. So it's not just a weight thing. The obesity one obviously is. But I just wonder if there are as many people out there that have actually used this as a, I value my health.
It's much easier to take a pill, isn't it, than to lose weight?
Yes.